Hello! Crowfall has been out for almost a month now, so it's time to revisit it and see how the game is coming along. My previous video introduced you to what Crowfall is to help you understand if it was a game you would enjoy or not. Today we'll be reviewing Crowfall. This is not a showcase of how good the game looks. The benchmark on my PC puts it around 64%, so not bad but not amazing. That means there are a lot of gamers using worse PCs than mine though. The first thing when starting Crowfall is creating a character. The character creator has quite a few races and classes to choose from. Classes are locked to certain races though, so one thing that could have been done better here would let us choose our class first and then our race. Now, once you have selected your race and class, you get to move into character customization. As you can see, there are only a few options for customizing your character. Some players like this, others want more options. Once you make a character, you then head into the world God's Reach. Here you can complete quests that will teach you the game. The quests are optional. The quests need some work as they are similar to reading an instruction manual. Some people enjoy the quests, but most find them very boring. The point of the game, though, is PvP, and quests were never intended to be in the game. Instead of a questing system, they could make an area where you have to make your way through it, completing tasks that you learn through signifiers. A game that does this well is Half-Life 2. Since the game doesn't really start until you're level 30, I personally would prefer to just start at level 30. Some people feel they need to start at level 1 and learn their abilities slowly, but for me, that does not work, since I need all of my abilities at once to learn the proper rotation. The good news is, for players like me, there is a VIP system which allows you to jump to 25, and then you can spend 30 minutes or so killing NPCs to hit 30. That brings us to the VIP system. Some players feel this is a pay-to-win system, but it doesn't do much for you other than save some time on leveling your character. So it's pay for convenience, not really win. You can respec your character with the VIP, but you can also do this with gold. And yes, it is 75k gold, but if you have time, it takes 5 minutes to make about 1k gold in the starter areas, which drop less gold than the main game, guild versus guild. Once you know what to build, there is no reason to respec, so this is a limited function as well. Personally, I feel the VIP system is a good thing as it allows the developers to cover the cost of hosting servers while allowing those with less time to play the game a way to save time. I do not see it as pay to win, since the game doesn't start until you're 30, and the only advantage it gives is leveling to 25 faster, while respecing is not really important as you can just request a meta build from your guild. Once the tutorial is complete and you have hit level 30, the game just leaves you to your own imagination. Most new players end up staying in God's Reach, not realizing it is only the tutorial, and they get bored pretty fast. The game could do a better job explaining that you need to find a guild and move into the main game. There is talk about a faction vs faction server coming out in the future, but again, new players wouldn't know to switch to that either. Crowfall lacks in the onboarding of new players, but so do many sandbox style games, so it's not unexpected. New players should seek out guilds with similar values to their own and learn the ropes. Once you have joined a guild and moved to guild versus guild, you can participate in sieges. In sieges, if you have a good processor, you can get good FPS. The game only uses about 40% of a 1080's power, so processor and RAM is where it's at for this game. As with most action MMOs, including New World, if you want the best FPS possible, you will need to play in a 1080p resolution, as 2K and 4K will put more stress on your system. You may need to adjust these settings as well. This all depends on your system. A 10th gen i7 3.2 GHz quad-core, hyper-threaded or better with 32GB of RAM or better, and a 2080 or better will run this game smooth. As with newer games, you need a newer system to run it at max quality. If you want, I can go over ways to improve your FPS in another video though if you're one of the many people who do not have a brand new system. If you get 30 frames per second or better in the zones that have 200 people, you will do just fine. Non-first person shooter games do not require 60 frames per second to work well. You will not miss a shot and you will not miss any animations, as most animations in a game should be 24 frames or less. Oftentimes, less. There are lots of studies on how much your eyes see beyond 30 frames per second, you should check them out. But I'm getting off topic. If you want good performance, you need a good PC. Each campaign world consists of mini zones, and each zone can only hold up to 200 players. Now this number seems low, but keep in mind other games like Guild Wars 2 limit zones to between 70 to 120 people. It would be nice if Crowfall zones went to 400 max, but that may cause a lot of lag. Even during the New World sieges, you're only allowed 100 players. One of the issues with zone caps is that larger guilds take advantage and cap zones early, so they do not have to PvP, capture forts, keeps, and castles. This is an issue that needs to be addressed. The same thing will happen in faction versus faction, as the larger faction will try and cap the zone. The next campaign, that may have started by the time this video releases, is supposed to add more zones to the campaign, allowing more forts and keeps to open at the same time, making it harder for a guild to zone cap to protect or capture all the points. We will have to wait and see if this balances out or not. Even with this issue, the large-scale fights are a lot of fun. Crowfall's player base continues to grow. There are 634,000 players with around 30,000 unique players per day. They did add bosses into the game that gives buffs based on the boss. One of my favorite ones is the Gathering raid bosses. Killing them gives you a boost to Gathering for 15 minutes and resources spawn infinitely for 15 minutes within the boss arena. They also added hot zones, which are areas that for a certain amount of time boost the Gathering rates and loot drops in the area. This creates some smaller scale PvP fights over control of the hot zones. Hopefully this means they will add more events like this to the game in the future, increasing content and creating more PvP beyond capturing the points. At launch, the Crowfall servers were DDoSed, but the devs quickly resolved the issue and got the servers online. The game has run very stable since then, so that's a plus. If you enjoy crafting, Crowfall has a unique crafting system that some people would describe as deep compared to other games. If you are comparing it to World of Warcraft crafting, then I would agree. But compared to EverQuest 2's crafting system though, it would be lacking. It is a nice balance between the two MMO giants' crafting systems though. You could spend hundreds of hours on the crafting system alone, experimenting, leveling, and trying out different crafting classes. The crafting and gathering system, like everything else in the game, is set up to be done as a group. After all, group play is the big focus in this game. When I rate games, it's based on a grade percentage, as this is how I learned to decide if a game was good enough or not to submit. If a game falls less than 8 or 80%, that means it failed. A C in game design is considered failing and has to be redone. So when rating games, I will assign them on a 6-point system: failed, an 8, an 8.5, 9, a 9.5, and a 10. As in my previous video of Crowfall, if I were grading this game, I would be giving it an 8. But that is my opinion. This video is made for you to come up with your own opinion and decide if you want to join in on Crowfall or not. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.